Welcome to this week's Closing the Distance. I'm Matt Moore. It's a little different episode for us today. What we're going to do, we're going to show you as many hunting tips that we can cram into a 30-minute episode. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I guarantee you'll learn something. Let's get started.
Closing the Distance is brought to you by Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. Hunter Safety System, dedicated to saving hunters' lives. Executioner Broadheads, born to kill. Treason, don't just blend, become. And by Citadel, revolutionary shoot-down shape. Coming up, we're sharing dozens of useful hunting tips to help you this season. Closing the Distance will be right back. Closing the Distance is made possible by Tree Limb Quivers. There's only one tree limb quiver. Sword sights, sharp solutions in aiming. Elusive Wildlife Technologies, taking the elusive out of wildlife. The Stage Deer Attractant, finally, a synthetic scent that works. Matthews Archery. And by the amazing Luminot. Can your arrow not do this?
Today on Closing the Distance is a lot of fun. What we're going to do, we're going to try to cram in as many hunting tips, as many bow hunting tips that we can give you here in the next 20 or 30 minutes. And I want to start out by talking about arrow fletching. If you fletch your own arrows, or even if you buy arrows that are already fletched, or your pro shop refletches shafts for you, what you need to do is you need to inspect these shafts, inspect the arrow fletching. What you're trying to do is you're trying to see if you can break this glue seal. Take your thumb and push on the fletchings, on these veins, as hard as you can. And if they're glued properly, everything is going to be okay. But what happens to glue, especially here in the South, you know, we're bow hunting sometimes in the South. You get up and hunt in the morning, it could be 35 or 40 degrees, but by the time you get to your afternoon hunt, we're looking for a t-shirt. That glue expands so much when this weather changes, and even our glue manufacturers, they recommend that if you fletch your own arrows, that you store the glue in a refrigerator, because they know how the humidity, how it wreaks havoc on fletchings. Inspect these arrow shafts and inspect the fletching all throughout the course of your season. I guarantee you that'll help you. Are your sight pins becoming a little fuzzy? Here's another tip for the bow hunters. My eyesight's been going down pretty fast over the last year or so. I was told to check out Specialty Archery products and have a verifier installed. What it is, it's simply just another peep sight, but it has that reading glass lens, those cheater lenses, installed inside the peep. And what it does, it just clears up your sight window and clears up your sights, just like you had reading glasses on. Some of you may have a hard time seeing the target, or your target may be fuzzy out there at 30 or 40 yards. They have clarifiers for that. You might want to check out Specialty Archery products if your eyes are not as good as they once were.
Well, it's November 25th, 2016. It's a day after Thanksgiving, which is a day that's known as Black Friday. And while most people are out shopping, I'm out here at my property and I'm inspecting a food plot that I had to replant the other night. Now, you might be thinking to yourself that at the end of November, that's just a little bit late to be putting seed in the ground. And for the most part, or most parts of the country, you would probably be correct. But what I have found is that here in the South, in particular here in North Louisiana, is that maybe we should rename Black Friday to Green Friday. Because just like this year, drought conditions had set in last year, and I found myself on Black Friday getting the tractor out, getting the disc out, and just redoing all of my food plots, because those drought conditions had just ruined the work that I had put in during that August and September time frame. Now, what I'm here to tell you is the work that I put in on Black Friday last year paid off, because 2 weeks after doing that, I had a nice stand of clover. 2 weeks after that, right there around that Christmas time frame, nice lush stand of clover. So what I'm hoping to do this year is duplicate that. Well, here we are. It's mid-January, and we're checking on these food plots that I had to replant on Black Friday of this year. And yes, I said mid-January, and I am in a t-shirt, which shows you how crazy this weather's been this year. But this food plot does look good. While it's not as lush or as full as it could have been, if it had taken hold during that original planting, the deer are taking advantage of it. So you're closing the distance. Tip of the day is whenever you're doing those fall food plots, make sure you set some seed off to the side, because you never know when you may need to replant.
We got to where we're hunting ground blinds a lot now. They're just easy to put up, easy to hide, easy to hunt with kids. I got my kids hunting lots of times, but just a little tip for you. We get these chairs at garage sales or surplus stores, or we find them that people use with old card tables, but they're really cheap and they set good. And if you can't find any used one, Walmart sells them for like $17 or $18. There's no reason to go to Cabela's and spend $80 on a chair for a ground blind, especially if you have multiple setups like we do, where you have to have 2 or 3 chairs per blind. So these are good, comfortable chairs, cheap to buy.
After the break, tree stand tips with Doc Spike, safety tips with Chris Friday, plus many more. The Closing the Distance tip episode will be right back. Closing the Distance is brought to you by Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. Hunter Safety System, dedicated to saving hunters' lives. Executioner Broadheads, born to kill. Treason, don't just blend, become. And by Citadel, revolutionary shoot-down shape.
Hey, welcome back. I hope you're enjoying our tip show. Doc Spike here. Hey, if you follow me on Facebook, you know I do a lot of hunting out here at my farm, 2 Point Plantation, and I've come up with an idea that's worked really good for me. It's a good tip that I like to share with you. I normally hunt out in front of me with this setup, and I've been busted several times this year by animals coming in. I'm just too exposed. So what I did, I moved my feeder out this way. Now I use this tree to block where I'm setting. So I set here, and when an animal comes, I can just pull out around the side and shoot. I actually use a tree as my cover. I've got my camera on this side of the tree, so I can actually zoom in, focus in, while I'm totally hid behind the tree, get my camera totally ready. And then when I get ready for the shot, I just can come out on this side around the tree, make a great shot. So think about that next time you hang a stand. Get you one of these Game Tamer type stands that swivels, put it on the back side of the tree, and use the tree to block your between you and where you'll be shooting, and it'll help a lot.
Another tip that I like, especially if you're sighting in your bow, or especially when you're practicing throughout the season, put some vertical and horizontal lines on your target. Instead of shooting at those great big circles, what this does, it focuses your eyesight, focuses your pen right here on the center. And what that ends up doing, it gives you consistent group patterns on your target. It gives you consistently know if you're grouping high or low, left to the right. It makes it easier for you to sight in your bow. Shooting at exits like this makes it easier for you to check in your bow, especially if you're on a hunting trip and you need to only have time to shoot 1 or 2 times. Put these lines on there, that'll help you. Here's another practice tip for the bow hunter. I want you to check this tool here out. It's made by the Lumnoc. It's called the Extinguisher. Yes, it's just an air puller, but guess what else it does? It makes it really simple and easy to turn those Lumnocs off, and it will also work on those crossbow bolts. Check this out from Lumnoc, the Extinguisher. I want to give you a tip on scouting and how to identify tracks, whether they're bucks or does. Look at this track right here. Big split toe, dew claw. Most of you would think that it's a buck. Well, I guarantee you it's a doe track. Well, how do I know that? Well, I'm standing in my deer pens, and every deer in here, and this pen right here, it's all does, and you can walk around this pen right here and look on the ground, and you would see a lot of tracks that you think that were bucks. When you see those big split toes and those dew claws, don't automatically think that it's a buck. What it is, it's just a big body deer, a heavy deer that's got some weight on it. And you always got to keep in mind how the track was made. Was the deer running? Is it in mud? Did it rain 2 or 3 days before I got here and was scouting? And I could walk right over there in my buck pen and show you the complete opposite. Every deer in there's bucks, and you could walk around that pen thinking there's a lot of does in here too. Not necessarily the case. When you see those tracks, if it's a big split like that, it's just a heavy deer.
Sally's a beagle I got 3 years ago, and I'd always wanted a blood trailing dog, and so I just made up my mind that I was going to find me one. And I talked to a lot of people, and they just recommended just finding the dog that liked to hunt. And I've always wanted a beagle, so I thought I would try a beagle. And she's really been real successful. She didn't cost a whole lot of money. She's not registered. She doesn't have a big long pedigree. She's just a hunting breed dog that I have taught to blood trail, and that wasn't real hard. So don't think that you have to go out and spend a lot of money on a dog or a lot of money training a dog. She probably, after I trained her when she was a puppy, she's probably trained me now more than I've trained her. So just a tip, if you want a blood trailing dog, just find a breed that you like, teach them about blood, show them blood, teach them how to smell blood, and put them on as many deer as you can.
If you're a deer hunter and you're watching this show, you probably have hunted out of a ground blind. And those ground blinds, they're our necessary evil in our industry, right? We love them, but we hate them. We hate them because they give us these blind spots. I want to share this hunt with you and kind of give you a tip about this blind spot. A doe is out there, she's out there at 17, 18 yards. It's opening morning of season, and I'm gonna take a doe. Excitement level's high. There she is. Everything's perfect. I wait till she gets perfectly broadside. I aim, I get anchored in good, and I let that arrow fly. Perfect shot, what I thought. Double lung, she does that double back kick. But this doe, she runs through my blind spot. I get out, I look at the arrow's covered with lung blood, everything's perfect, but I can't find her. I know there's no way that this deer has ran over 50 yards. I don't know where she is, and I just can't understand it. I go back and I get my lab. His name is Cullen. He's 8 years old, and I got him when he was 8 weeks old, and I started training him to track. And Cullen has helped me out a lot over the years. I turn Cullen out, turn him loose on the track, and Cullen runs about 25 yards at the most, and he turns around, he runs back to me, and I'm going, oh no, how embarrassing is this? Cullen went and found the deer in the opposite direction that I thought the doe ran. When I shot her, she runs through my blind spot, and that instant, and in that second she's in that blind spot of that blind, she turns and goes the opposite direction, and I did not see it. This is Cullen. This is our lab. He's an 8-year-old dog. I've had him since he was 8 weeks old, but perfect shot. And that's the great reason to spend the time to get a great dog out of a good kennel and work with him. And you don't use them that much, and perfect shot. And when you shoot a deer a double lung, a lot of times the deer are dead before they have time to bleed out, exactly in this case. But this, you can see the thicket. You can see the American beautyberry. You can see the vines, the green briar that's everywhere. It's tough. It's tough to find them, but if you're in a situation like that and you know you made a perfect shot on a deer and you can't find it, think about the blind spot. Where could a deer might have been where I didn't see them run? Sometimes that'll help you.
You know, guys, we're out here getting ready and everything, and man, when you go to working on these old deer leases getting ready, it's a guarantee something's gonna go wrong. Best laid plans always go astray. You know, one of the things I've always talked with Drake about is whenever we were out putting up feeders and everything, he'd always want to play with the spin plate while I was cranking it up and everything. And man, that's a kid just wanting to have a good time and wanting to have fun, wanting to hear something jingle, throw a little corn on the ground and everything. But I've always told him, bud, don't stand up under that barrel while we're lifting it up and everything. Well, we got a perfect example of why you don't stand up under a barrel and everything. We were just fortunate this thing was pretty close to the ground. It came down. It didn't tear the bottom out of the barrel, but it did tear a brand new motor up and everything. We've got about 200 pounds of corn's probably gonna be on the ground now. So y'all be careful out there. Y'all get your kids involved, but make sure you got your eyes on them, folks. Keep them safe. Teach them the safe way to do things, because hunting experience is supposed to be an enjoyable experience. It's not supposed to be one where you got to take somebody to the emergency room. So y'all be safe out there. Y'all watch for snakes. Y'all make sure to spray down and have a good time, because October the 1st in North Louisiana is coming quick.
I'm gonna give you a quick tip here. This is for you new hunters or even seasoned hunters that are new to pop-up blind hunting or enclosed blinds, citadel blinds, and that's the flight of the arrow in relation to the line of sight. And I know you people that hunted pop-ups know exactly where I'm going with this. Just, you have to realize that the flight of the arrow is several inches below your line of sight, from your peep sight to your pins to your target. There's been many a hunt ruined by the shooter concentrating on the shot and not realizing that their arrow is going to clear the bottom of the window. So a good rule of thumb, what I do is when you open your window, set up your chair, draw your bow, if your line of sight is in the middle of that window, you know you've got 50% of that window to allow for your arrow clearance. if you sit in your chair and you pull back and your line of sight is just a little above that window, you got to realize your arrow could very well hit the bottom of that window. So, you know, you may have to get a taller chair. If you have the longer windows, just open them up a little bit more, you know, just lower it a little bit. So hopefully that'll keep you from missing a chance at a great trophy buck.
Coming up, more hunting tips from the staff. Closing the Distance will be right back.
Hey, welcome back again. I hope you're enjoying the tip show. I'm going to show you a secret that I use that's, I mean, it's unreal. It's pig oil made by Elusive Wildlife, and what it does, it's got an attractant in it. You can put it on a tree just like this, and it's going to bring these hogs in just, I mean, within 16 yards. You can see my bow stands right there, and they're so attracted to this. I mean, there's no way they're going to come in here and not come over here to this. It's really good. It's pig oil made by Elusive Wildlife. And I've just put it all over the tree. You can't put too much. Let it run down the tree. I'll guarantee you I'm gonna have some action here tonight with this pig oil.
Got this set up. It's down here by a food plot. It's probably about 300 yards away. We've been using the decoy. While we're using the Ozonics backpack, it's because the wind is out of the west, which is blowing into this corn. And most of the deer, because the corn's still standing, they're bedded in there. So this is just gonna help us. Like if a deer may be bedded 75, 80 yards, 100 yards into the corn, we're gonna get to the stand as fast as we can because the ozone's running. It's gonna completely eliminate the issue of a deer smelling us as we're walking. So, hope it'll work. Maybe we'll get a buck that crosses through here, comes to this decoy. It's gonna be a fun hunt. If you hunt here in the South, you know that red wasp and hornets and spiders, they can just about break a man down just getting in and out of his ground blinds, getting out of his box blinds. But check this out right here. Have you seen this product, No Pest Strips? You can put these in your ground blinds, put these in your shooting houses. They last about 4 months and they get rid of everything. If you get into your blind and you see that red wasp is up there in the corner, pitch one of these in there, come back in a couple days, they'll be dead laying on the floor. Check out that product right there. It'll save you. Bow season's finally here, and I just want to give you just a quick reminder and a quick tip just to double check your equipment. You know, we're going to be pulling our bows up in and out of those tree stands. We're going to be going in and out of those ground blinds, and our bows will get dirty. Visually inspect these strings and these cables for that dirt and grime and those twigs and those leaves. They have a tendency to get hung up inside all your limbs and your cables and your strings. When that happens, use that condensed air. Blow everything out. If it's still dirty or grimy, warm water, soapy rag, clean everything off. But after you clean everything off, it needs to be completely dry before you reapply any string wax. You can lay your bow on a bed that's maybe underneath the ceiling fan. If you have an old box fan that's maybe at the deer camp, prop your bow up and just let it air dry. Avoid using any kind of a hair dryer to dry anything off. Visually inspect it and then reapply that wax. And you know, occasionally we're gonna hunt when it's raining. You know, but there's nothing on your bow that will require any type of oil. There's nothing on here that needs oil or any lubrication. But what you might want to do is put a little bit of oil on the back of those set screws on your sights, on the back of that set screws and stuff on your rest. What that does, it just gives it just a little bit of a waterproofing. If you ever have to take those screws off, that rust won't build up. I guarantee you, just a few of these tips help you have a better hunt. Enjoy this deer season. I'm looking forward to it. God bless.
You know, bow hunters who consistently take big deer every single year know a lot, and you can really benefit from spending time with great hunters that are a little bit beyond where you are. and picking their brain and just learning from their experience and what they know. But you know, the Bible also has a lot to say about this very principle in our lives. In fact, in Proverbs 27, the Bible says it like this: as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Friends make you better. And the key there is true friends. So what the Bible's saying is that when you seek people that have good life wisdom, it can really help you out in your own life, in your marriage, in your finances. It's important who you allow to speak into your life. I'll just tell you, after all of these years, I'm 44 now, and the people that I seek out in my life are not just people that have good advice. I'm really seeking out people in my life now that have godly advice. It really can make all the difference in the world. People that really put God first, have a biblical wisdom that really seem to have produced wonderful things in their life. And really, that's what I want for my family. It's what I want for my life. And I pray that's what you would want in your life as well. So be careful who speaks into your life. Seek out people who don't just give you good advice, but who'll give you godly advice. If you'd like to know more about a personal relationship with God through His Son, Jesus Christ, just go to closingthedistance.com and click on the Moment of Truth tab.